Hi, my name is Roman Razumov, and I'm a Cloud Solutions Architect from Sogeti, Marketing Unit of Capgemini. Today is a follow-up session to the original discussion that I had with some of the teams at Contoso Medical. As your company have embarked on a journey towards cloud, there's clearly some needs and discussion points that we wanted to cover and wanted to know how to get started. So this is a follow-up session to some of the original conversation that I had with some of your teams. To better facilitate our today's session, what I would like to do is just quickly go over how I want to keep track of our conversation. If we were to do this face-to-face, I would do this on the whiteboard, but as we're doing this virtually, I will facilitate using OneNote instead. So last week, I talked to a number of folks from your organization, and it was clear that there are some needs that we wanted to highlight. So I had a chance to meet with Liz from infrastructure. And when I spoke with Liz, some of the main things that was interesting to her is how do we get started? We need better knowledge on Azure resources. So what I would like to do is I want to keep track of that as one of our discussion points. So Azure. Also, I had a chance to talk with Will from Network Infrastructure. When I spoke with Will, it was pretty clear that we wanted to make sure that what's available in Azure can be secure and what are the resources and capabilities in Azure with respect to securing the communication. So, also, when I went over to the other building and spoke with Andre from DevOps team, where they also manage development and operations. One of the main themes that I got out of that is what is the impact for the developers and ops to ensure that the dev lifecycle is secure as well as the teams interact and start leveraging the Azure workloads. So this will help us keep our conversation going a little bit better. So as we cover some of these agenda items, I've decided that it might be best for us to actually get in and get our hands on in order to understand some of these topics. So in today's session, what we will do is we will actually going to explore some of the Azure's virtual networking concepts in components that are implemented. So what we'll do is we'll be able to discuss some of the many types of Azure resources, such as VMs, and how they securely communicate with each other and back to the on-prem network. We'll also take a quick look at how the communication happens between the networks themselves within Azure, and what type of filtering of network traffic can be done, how the routing can be connected and controlled across multiple virtual networks. So overall, I think, as you can see, I have some of the folks, more technical folks right now on the call with us. So it would be best for us to be able to do a better technical dive. Microsoft has been working very much on helping us facilitate some of these hands-on sessions. So today we'll cover specifically a self-paced lab called Azure Networking Concepts. So the best way to get to that is by having me quickly guide you how to navigate to the lab. Today's lab is actually available for everyone and doesn't have to be procured or facilitated by me specifically. So I will just share my screen and let you know how to navigate to the lab to get started. And as we go through the lab, my intent is to have regular checkpoints after each scenario where we can go back and discuss some of the items that are relevant in some of the questions that you have from last week and how they apply to the concepts that you covered today. All right, so let us get started. So I will share my desktop. So everybody can see. So just to better facilitate, as I mentioned before, here's the little OneNote that we'll keep track of. And some of the items that we get to discuss, I'll be able to take some notes. And anything that won't be able to get to today, such as advanced, for example, infrastructure as code, that I know some of the DevOps topics, we can add them to the parking lot and we'll be able to facilitate follow-up session. So, but to navigate to a self-paced lab, you would go ahead and use one of the supported browsers, which is Chrome or New Edge. So for example, I'm going to start up a new session right here. You will navigate to microsoft.com/hands-on-labs. Once you're there, you then navigate to self-paced labs and you will get a list of different labs. There's many different labs that are available. In fact, this is a great way for getting familiar with some of other Azure capabilities, and also start understand and start make sure that the folks on your team start getting familiar and really start understanding how to interact with some of the Azure resources. So for today, we will look at Azure Networking Concepts, which is exactly this lab. And you can see you can get a bit more information about it. Because this is a self-paced lab, it can easily be launched and procured by Microsoft without further setup needed by me. So you go ahead and just click launch. Now, in my case, it might actually tell me that I cannot launch that again because I've launched that for preparation for this course. So for example, you have to facilitate all the capture. Once you do that, you can launch the lab. You can see I'm getting an error message, but that's okay. If you've done that before and you want to come back, so all you will do is go to My Dashboard. As you can see, there's already a lab started. So I can, actually, I think it is an expired phase. So, actually, so when you click the launch button, what it'll do, it'll actually take up to 5 minutes. So while that is happening, I wanted to go back real quick and just make sure we've covered some of the items accordingly. So we spoke a little bit around the need for getting better understanding of Azure resources when I spoke with infrastructure team. So in order for us to make sure that we are covering all the different capabilities, what I think what we can do in our follow-up sessions, we will do more of a hands-on lab session to go over some of the resources that are needed to get some of the initial workloads started in Contoso Medical. For example, I believe from the infrastructure discussion we talked about using platform as a service, so we'll be able to gear some of our conversation specifically around that. And what is the return on investment when using that? And we can explore that further. I know that DevOps conversation, as I mentioned later, that we'll have to also work through. So that means we'd probably want to put that on the parking lot and have a discussion when we can facilitate further sessions. So it looks like this is still working through. So when the lab becomes available, what will happen is that it'll open up two browser sessions, one with ability to log in to a particular workstation from which you would facilitate your work. Some lab sessions only requires your connectivity to the portal itself. So it'll open up two browser sessions as opposed to a session for the RDP itself. So if you are just navigating and managing resources, you will be able to get familiar with the Azure portal and how well it can be used to manage the resources themselves. The second session on the right will always be your guide as you go through the self-paced labs. When we do hands-on labs, some of the guides will look a little bit different. I'll have a chance to further show the scenario and cater the scenarios for some of the roles that you have in your organization. It looks like it's taking a little bit of time. Oh, it says that it's expired. Yes. Okay, well, this lab can only be launched once every 24 hours. So for the purpose of this simulated session, we'll get started and we'll continue on next week.